Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. You are tuned into Bigmikes blog. I am your humble host, Big Mike, coming to you from my home. Hope everyone's doing well amidst everything going on, obviously, with the coronavirus and stuff. So, this topic, this topic is kind of something I was wrestling with talking about over the past, I want to say 2, 3 days. With the news and everything going on. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, there was a case of where a man by the name of, I believe his name is George Floyd, was murdered and killed by police while being arrested. Had this happen in Minnesota, where the cop, and I mean, you guys have watched the video, I'm hoping, where the cop basically had their knee on his neck for 7 minutes while the man was saying, "I can't breathe." So this vlog is going to be a little bit of a somber one, to be honest. And I'm not just going to be talking about that case. I'm just going to be talking about a lot of different stuff involving that case as well. Because I'm going to keep it very real with you guys. I am just tired. I'm tired. I mean, am I frustrated? Yeah. But I'm just tired, man. I'm tired of just all of it, man. For those of you who don't know, the shirt I'm wearing is Fred Hampton. He was part of the Black Panther Party, and just reading this shirt. So basically, the shirt says, we say you don't fight racism with racism. We're gonna fight racism with solidarity. We say you don't fight capitalism with black capitalism. You fight capitalism with socialism. And this is a quote by Fred Hampton during one of his speeches. I had learned about Fred Hampton through watching a documentary, and after seeing his speeches and seeing what he stood for, I decided to make these shirts. So, yeah. So, again, today, this vlog, I'm kind of titling it Black Lives Matter with a question mark. And the reason why I titled it Black Lives Matter is I'm posing the question, do they actually really matter? Do black lives actually really matter? And there's there's other stuff that's been going on as well. Like there's the case of Ahmaud Arbery, who is living, I believe, in Atlanta, and he was shot and killed by two white guys and he was just jogging. So there's that case, and there's just so many of these cases of unarmed black people being murdered, whether it be by white cops, or by the hands of other people, or by the hands of law enforcement. And I have, honest to God, reached a point where I am just sick and tired of seeing it. And the reason why I'm honestly sick of it is because it's the same fucking thing that happens every time, where the crime happens, everyone's in an uproar, everyone's on social media posting shit and saying shit and saying shit and saying shit, and then the cops get arrested and everyone's like, good, they got arrested, that's great. And then either the charges get fucking dropped, or if by some miracle the case actually goes to trial, the cops somehow get off. It's only, 2 instances that I can remember off the top of my head where the cop actually went to jail for the crime. And then guess what? They get off. People are up in an uproar. People are upset for like 3 fucking days until the next shit happens, and then we're doing the same shit again. And I have just reached a point where I am fucking tired of it. So, I'm sorry if you guys don't want to hear this. I'm going to speak from the heart. And I'm going to be very honest. And I'm not going to sugarcoat a motherfucking word I say. So if you guys are weak and you guys don't want to hear what I got to say, and you think that I'm race baiting and I'm playing the race card and all this other bullshit, then my advice is you should simply either not watch this vlog ever. Period. Because I've seen a lot of comments about this too, and it just frustrates me as well. And I think also too, because this past weekend, I went down a Netflix rabbit hole, and I watched 3 different crime documentaries. One was Trial by Media, which basically talks about different cases, like criminal cases, whether it be murder, whatever the case may be, or fraud or whatever, and how the media reported on them, which was interesting. I watched this one thing called The Innocence Files. A friend had told me about it, and I watched that shortly after. And I had finally watched one called I Am a Killer, where they basically interview people who are either on death row or serving long criminal sentences for basically murdering someone. And they interview them about what happened, and then they'll try to interview the person's family, the district attorney, the arresting officers, and everyone involved in the case. They interview those people. So I went down that rabbit hole this past weekend, and I left it pissed, to be honest with you. And this was before the Greg Lloyd shit really took off, but I think the Greg Lloyd case really was my tipping point where I just felt like I needed to say something. Because to be very frank with you, even though I went down that rabbit hole and I watched those documentaries and they honestly pissed me off watching them, I still wasn't going to do a vlog about it. Because I feel like there's more than enough people vlogging about this shit, and there's people that are vlogging about it and saying stuff, and that's good and positive, and there's some that aren't. And I just didn't really feel the need to say anything because I didn't really have a real... I mean, I had my opinion, but I didn't know if it was worthy of actually doing a vlog about it. But I felt like I couldn't not say anything, and it was just festering in my mind, and I felt like I need to get it out so I could feel better. Because otherwise, I'm going to be pissed about this for a while. So that's why I'm doing this vlog now. So the reason why I brought up those 3 different documentaries is it ties also into all this shit going on with Greg Lloyd and the other cases as well. And even the woman in Central Park who called the cops on a guy because she didn't have her dog on a leash, even though she was fucking supposed to. And she basically called the cops saying that she was being threatened by a black man, even though he didn't threaten her not one time during the full fucking video. So like with Trial by Media, the one case, there was a couple. There was 2 cases in those documentaries that really stood out to me, that really bothered me. So in New York in 1980, I believe it was in the 80s, there was a white man who shot 4 black youth, in a subway, claiming that he felt fearful for his life because he thought he was going to be robbed. Now, at the time of this, there was a huge spike in robberies on the subways, and people weren't, whatever the case may be. I believe he did a year in prison because he had a unlicensed firearm for this. Now, the reason why that case is interesting is it was not a case of self-defense, for the simple fact of 2 reasons why I bring this up. Number 1, let me pose a question to you guys, because you guys are smart who watch this for the most part, I would think. If you're claiming self-defense, right? If you're fearful for your life, you're going to shoot somebody and then you're going to run away as fast as you can to get away from the scene. Correct? This particular gentleman not only shot these 4 black kids, but one of the black kids who was actually moving around at the time, this gentleman decided to go to that same kid and shoot him again and said, here's another one for you. So you tell me, does that sound like someone claiming self-defense and is fearful of their fucking life? Another reason why I brought that up is during a neighborhood meeting This gentleman said, and I quote, "This neighborhood would be better if niggers and spics moved." So tell me, people, does that sound like someone who doesn't have some type of racial issue or anything like that? If he could say that boldly in a fucking neighborhood meeting? I didn't think so. And he got off, basically. Wasn't charged. Or he got the year because it was an unconcealed firearm, and in New York at that time was a mandatory year sentence. So that's all he got. He got found not guilty. Meanwhile, there are 4 cops, I'm hoping you guys are familiar with this case, the Amadou Diallo case, where this general, I guess he was from West Africa. He came to New York. He was living in New York, and 4 NYPD detectives murdered him in his doorway. Shot 41 times. They ended up shooting him 19 times. He was hit 19 times by those 41 bullets. And basically, they changed the venue because this crime happened in the Bronx, and they moved the trial to Albany, and those cops got off. So there you go. So those are the 2 examples of that. Now, the Innocence Files particularly, there was one case where, I believe it was in Mississippi, where there are these young black girls, like 3 years old, 2 different cases where they were kidnapped from their homes, raped, and killed, and thrown in the lake. Now, they had arrested one guy in the early 90s, I believe. Or no, sorry, they arrested one guy in the early 80s, and then about a year or so later, or about 6 or 9 months later, the crime happened again, and they arrested someone else. And they convicted these guys based off of bite mark evidence. Because apparently this quack fucking dipshit doctor, or teeth doctor, whatever the fuck it is, basically said that based off of the markings on the bodies, it was determined that those guys bit those little girls. And that's what those guys were convicted on, because there was no other evidence besides that. And one guy did 18 years in prison, the other guy did 17 years in prison. Then DNA evidence came into play. They tested the DNA of those guys, and it was determined that they couldn't have done it because the DNA cleared both of them. But the prosecution still did not want to admit wrongdoing and didn't want to admit that they were wrong. As a matter of fact, the fucking prosecutor said, well, just because they didn't rape her doesn't mean they didn't kill her. So they stayed in prison for another 10 years until finally there was more evidence that they found that cleared them. Because what ended up happening is they found out there was another guy who basically confessed to the murders. And guess what the saddest part about this whole thing is? The guy who actually confessed to murdering those kids, the black guy, he didn't even bite them. You know where those bite marks were from? Fucking crawfish that were in the fucking water. And that case bothered me the most because the expert that testified was so fucking arrogant in thinking that his evidence was valid. Meanwhile, it's not. And you're playing with people's fucking lives. Okay? So I don't want to hear, well, it's not an exact science. No. If you're going to convict someone based off of bite mark evidence, it better be fucking exact. Because you're playing with people's fucking lives. One of the guys who did the 18 years, he died of cancer shortly after. The fuck kind of bullshit is that? And then, last but not least, the last one that the case I will talk about is the one, I Am a Killer. Now, most of those cases, in all honesty, I believe that the killers, the people who murdered those people, deserved getting the time that they got. Even one of the black men who murdered a white woman, he deserved the time that he got. However, there was one particular case that really, really bothered me. And I'm going to talk about it, and I'll just say my opinion about it, and then you guys can decide whether I'm right or wrong about it. So there is this girl who lived in Kansas who a family friend had set her up on a date with. Now, this particular gentleman lived in Missouri, but he wanted to go on a date with her. So they were going to go to Golden Corral or whatever. So His plan was basically to drive, like he picked her up and then drove her across state lines to Missouri because that's where he lived, saying that, hey, I was working, I need to take a shower, can I take a shower? And then we can go on the date. And she's like, okay, no problem. So they get to the dude's house. He gives her a drink of like Hennessy or whatever. He has her try to smoke PCP to get her fucking high as shit. So he takes a shower. He comes out the shower, condom on, basically telling her that she either has to fuck him or suck his dick or she's not leaving his house. Now, context. This young woman had been raped repeatedly as a child, 3 separate times in middle school. And all 3 of those times, those people got off those crimes. So she was carrying a gun at that point because she didn't trust law enforcement and she wanted to protect herself. So when this particular case happened, she had a gun in her purse. So when the dude came close, she asked him, please don't come closer, please don't come closer. He kept coming closer. She basically shot him 3 times, killing him. Now, this particular case happened in a predominantly white neighborhood in Missouri. So she was scared. She took his wallet. She took his car because obviously she doesn't know where the fuck she's going. She left her shoes there. But the prosecution still charged her. Well, basically she didn't claim self-defense because her counsel was a bunch of assholes, and they basically said, well, we don't think you can win a case with self-defense, so we're going to have you plead second-degree murder, thinking that, oh, she'll only get 10 years. She got 25 years in prison. So I described all these cases to say this. All those cases, this is why I'm frustrated with the legal system, because the legal system is fucking flawed. There's no consistency with the legal system, and people are getting fucked over by the legal system, and this is just examples of it. Now, I did see in Minnesota, that there were riots last night, and places were looted, and all this other shit. And there's gonna be there's gonna be people on the right, and maybe some house Negroes, and a bunch of other fucking people saying, well, that's not right, and these people are fucking baiting and doing all this bullshit, and they're just causing more problems, and da-da-da-da. I say all that to say this to people who say that. While obviously I don't condone violence or looting or destroying properties and things like that, people are fucking tired of this shit. They are tired of going on their fucking Facebook or their fucking Instagram or their fucking Twitter or whatever news outlet they use to get the news, to see this shit plastered all the fucking time. People are tired. I am saying this as a black person. I am tired of it. Now, am I going to go loot and all this other shit? No. But I get it. It's something that Tupac said. He had compared like the civil rights movement to being in a hotel room hungry. Like, let's say if I'm in a hotel room and I see that a room has all types of food and everything, and I'm hungry. I haven't eaten in God knows how long, and I ask for some food, and you slam the door on me and tell me to fuck off. I come back the next day, knock, ask again. You slam the door on me. Maybe 4 days later, I come and I sing, I dance, I do whatever I can to try to get some food. You still slam the fucking door on me. Now I'm fucking yelling. No, I need some fucking food. I am fucking hungry. I'm gonna break down that motherfucking door and get some goddamn food. You see what I'm saying? You keep pushing people to a point where they're not gonna give a fuck. And I think this has gotten to the point where you've pushed people to a point where they don't give a fuck. And they're gonna revolt. And they're gonna riot. And they're gonna protest. And they're gonna do harm because you're not listening. You're not hearing people. So now you're gonna have to feel this shit. So I get it. I don't condone it, but I 1,000% get it. And you know, I also see this whole, and I've heard people tell me this shit too. And I had posted something on my Instagram about it yesterday where I see people in the comments and people comment saying, well, the Latinos, we get it rough too, man. So I don't care about black people like that. It's not a big deal. Everyone gets it rough and da da da. Or, there's only one race, the human race, and we need to come together and all this type of shit. Or, they'll probably be in the news in the next, let's say, few days where they'll bring up stuff about Greg Lloyd's past, that he maybe had like a parking ticket or got into a fight with his girlfriend or did some shit as a kid, and they're going to bring that up to assassinate this motherfucker's character in some form or fashion. And I'm going to say, but in regards to the people who say that we're all one race, the human race, and all this other fuck shit, I'm going to say this to you guys. And I'm looking dead in the camera so you know I'm fucking serious. If you want to think that way, fine. If I have black friends, so I don't see the big deal and da-da-da-da, we're all doing this together. If that's how you feel that way. What I'm saying is this. Just because you feel that way doesn't give you the fucking right to be arrogant and flip it and act like racism doesn't fucking exist. So when people are telling you this shit is going on, you need to fucking hear them. You need to listen to what they're saying. Instead of being so goddamn arrogant and thinking because, oh, well, this doesn't happen to me, or I don't get it, or we're all in this together and I go through struggles too. No, you don't go through the same struggles that I go through. Because you don't have to worry about passing by a cop car and thinking that this motherfucker's going to harass you just randomly. Because I've had friends living in the States who have been harassed by the police when I lived there. So it's real. It's not fake. These aren't motherfuckers just sitting there bitching and moaning about this shit. This is real shit. You dig what I'm saying? So people need to be better about this shit. And people need to be mindful of this shit. You dig what I'm saying? Because I'm tired. Like, they fired those cops, which is lovely. That's great. Okay, they lost their jobs. Wonderful. Okay. They might get charged. Okay, great. That's awesome. They get charged. But if they don't do an ounce of jail time, I do not give a flying fuck. Unless they're doing jail time, then I'll be happy as a clam. And again, I'm going to give you better context. Because in my in the vlog I did 5 years ago with the Black Lives Matter movement, I had said some shit where I basically kind of called them out and said that I felt like Black Lives Matter, to be honest, was a bunch of bullshit. Because I felt like, because I was guilty the same way where I was saying, what about black on black crime? Or, well, there's more white people that get killed by cops than blacks. You saying that is dismissive. And I've done the studies. Obviously, black on black crime is a real thing. But black people kill people. You kill people based off the proximity where you live. So obviously, blacks are going to kill blacks more likely because blacks usually live around black people. Huh, coincidence, huh? Just like white people get killed by white people. That's the coincidence too. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So I challenge anybody who's going to sit there, because I know that there's somebody who's going to be in the comment section saying some shit to me. And for people that say, oh, Michael, well, it's not like that, and people are kind of more tolerant, really? Because when I did my Colin Kaepernick video, within 2 hours of me posting it, I got called a stupid nigger. So you tell me, or you think people are that tolerant? As a matter of fact, there's a fucker on Facebook, when the video got posted of Greg Lloyd being choked out, actually said he was proud of it and he was happy to watch it. So we got a long motherfucking way to go. And this isn't even about, this isn't political for me either. Because let's say even for the people that want to say, we're all one race and all this sort of fuck shit. Okay, I'll even humor you and ask you this question. From a human being perspective, if you see that video for 7 minutes and seeing a fucking cop putting their fucking knee on a man's neck for 7 minutes while he cannot breathe, and that doesn't bother you, that doesn't upset you, that doesn't make you feel any kind of way, you are a fucking asshole. Man, woman, I don't give a fuck who you are. You are a fucking asshole. Because if that doesn't bother you or affect you in any way, you feel like that motherfucker deserved it, you're no better than those motherfuckers who did it, in my opinion. And I'll say that shit to your face. And trust me, I'm not afraid of nothing but dying. I don't even, in that I barely even fear. So I'm not afraid of nobody saying anything to me about it. So if anybody got a problem with me saying that, I'll say it to your motherfucking face. So there's no confusion about where I fucking stand. Because that's bullshit. Just from a human being perspective. And the reason why I say it's not political, because that woman in Central Park, she's an actual liberal. You think she's a Republican? No, she's an actual liberal. And she's complaining how this has ruined her life and all this bullshit. Well, maybe you should be more mindful what the fuck comes out of your mouth. You know? Meanwhile, one of my friends actually on Instagram who commented on my post yesterday, he's a conservative. And he's mortified. And he had left like 4 different posts saying how he felt. And I could feel he was upset. And he even said to me, you know, I feel out of place even saying this stuff. And I said, no. I appreciate you posting what you posted because at least it shows you're a decent human being that actually gives a shit. You know? But we got to do better. You know, as a people, we got to do better. You know? White people need to stop being dismissive about this shit and hearing what people are fucking saying. And I know you might live in your nice little neighborhoods, or you might have one black friend or whatever, so you think you're outside of this shit, but you guys are involved, you know? Because as much as to say, you know, us black people, we need to come together, you white people need to be mindful of what the fuck is going on and stop acting like fucking ostriches with your head in the sand, not paying a fucking attention. Because people are out here dying and shit over this shit. And it shouldn't come to that. Motherfuckers shouldn't have to lose their life. And Greg Floyd got arrested for writing a bad check. And because he wrote a bad check, he lost his fucking life. Regardless of whatever he did. You think... So writing a bad check constitutes him losing his life? Really? Is that the ledge you motherfuckers who think this is okay are going to stand on? Then you're going to fucking... That ledge is going to break. You know? But, again, we live in a different time now, too. And another thing that's maybe a little bit semi-off topic, but I'm going to bring it up anyway because it kind of goes, not really, but I'm going to bring it up anyway because it's something else I want to kind of discuss. So there's a woman or girl in Toronto, this young black white woman. I think her name's Lil Debbie or whatever the fuck. And basically, I don't know if she raps or whatever, but she tries to basically act black and she says the N-word a lot. A lot. To the point where my friend who works at a Jordan store, she's not even allowed to be in the Jordan store downtown Toronto because she got into a fight with somebody. Because somebody saw her video and rolled up on her and they got into the blows and all this shit. Now, as much as I dislike her with every fiber of my being, I have a bigger problem with the people that she rolls with. Because they are allowing this. I'm assuming she's with some black people who think it's okay for her to say this shit. Because I don't believe in my heart of hearts that she would be bold to say that bullshit if she wasn't around black people that were thinking it's okay. And you coon motherfuckers, and I'm talking to y'all directly, you guys are fucking clowns. If you ever see this video, I'm going to tell you right now, you're fucking clowns for that. Because if she's that bold and she's that much of a G and a gangster, she should go to Harlem and say that shit. She should go to Compton and say that shit. She should go to Florida and say that shit. Go to Mississippi. Go to any black neighborhood, predominantly black neighborhood, and say the N-word there and see how long you fucking last. But you could say that fuck shit here because we're a multicultural city and all this bullshit. So yeah. So this is probably one of my longer vlogs. I said a lot. I stand by every word I said. I don't take anything back. So if anyone has a problem with what I say or had an issue with it, that's how I feel. And on that note, I'm signing off. I hope everyone's good out there. I hope everyone stays safe. Stay home. Wear your mask if you do go out. And I'm signing off. So y'all take care. Peace.